My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
Alrighty, I just arrived to the Ontario Town Square, and upon my arrival, it's 9:03 a.m. Upon my arrival, the entity maintaining ongoing surveillance. Remember, the stalking by the plane is that which is facilitating everybody else that is monitoring. That includes Brightview, that's stalking in the path with the method of noise, massive noise, as you're stalking at the airport. And it's clearly stalking when they're flying over me while I'm at the United States Postal Service at 16:30 East Holt, and the entity's maintaining the fake sun on Holt Boulevard in the United States Postal Service, and doing so while they're also flying north, flying over me while I'm at the bus stop. This is the same stalking, and this is the airport. The City of Ontario is stalking by the fire department, gang stalking at D Street and Lemon. The entity is maintaining ongoing surveillance, stalking while I'm at the bus stop. So this is the P.O.C. This is the entity engaged in all manner of a deviation. The fake sun all over the place, everywhere, but at the Ontario Town Square and the OVITT Family Community Library yesterday. And you're looking at that evidence, which is speaking to, again, martial law. There's no sun based on this ignorance that I'm documenting in order to prosecute the demon-possessed with regard to Fontana being in any window of a bus going toward Fontana, on Holt Boulevard, on Airport Drive, being over the Ontario International Airport while the entity is stalking me, and stalking is proven through that supernatural environment. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:05 a.m. at 224 North Euclid Avenue. Alrighty, this is the entity that is engaged in ongoing stalking. That's amplified plane activity, where there is no takeoff from the airport with that plane activity. And the stalking is proof fake suns over me at the town square. The entity is stalking by planes and doing so serially while I am the focus. And that's speaking to the mentally ill that are stalking in commercial planes, who are going to be subject to prison and mental asylums. And it is for the prosecution for the state of California. That is, first of all, again, that ongoing conduct of flying in alignment to where my position is located, and then going back toward what is the direction east. This is nothing other than blatant stalking, in addition to what is the scientific evidence of stalking. This fake sun is over Emporia Place at this time yesterday, 9:56 a.m. This is where the entity's been maintaining plane activity, threatening my life. It's a threat to your life. Excuse my throat. It's a threat to your life when the government is stalking you and you are documenting that criminal, unprecedented conduct, and then they engage in more of it, like the deranged psychopaths who are stalking with regard to these gang stalking airlines. UPS, Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, American Airlines, Amazon Prime Air, etc. Every airline associated with the Ontario International Airport, where yesterday I am still going to be getting on a board, Route 61, and showing the fake sun that remains over. That's a 7-minute video where the fake sun's over the Ontario International Airport, where those terrorists are stalking from the Ontario International Airport, which the property is south of Holt Boulevard, where they're flying miles away from that airport to stalk me at this location, which is not going to be over the airport today. And it's not over right now at the Emporia Place apartments, where the Ontario police were stalking me by helicopter, engaging in criminal summoning, and engaging in targeting with the demon-possessed people of the state, who are monitoring with that government now, maintaining surveillance, and they're doing so while they are keeping the fake sun where it is in the exact opposite position of where it was yesterday. In this position it is now, it's behind my back when I'm at the Emporia Place Apartments on Holt Boulevard. And I'm showing you in that video that there's no sun over the, even in this direction. This is where the entity is stalking by plane. The entities engage in this pattern of conduct while the people of the state, they're going to prison. They engage in criminal summoning with the government. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down. So is the police department. Mike Lorenz is being federally prosecuted, and he's going to end up going to prison. So is Derek Williams. And the entities engaging in this while they are being prosecuted by neighboring cities, engaging in the pattern of conduct, conspiring murder, which is the city of Fontana. This is all relevant with regard to what is martial law, regarding the lawlessness, regarding the criminal conduct and the serial killings, the organized crime of the government that is stalking, in the way in which the city of Ontario, the Ontario International Airport is. Okay, this entirely deranged and demented behavior is a threat to the safety of American citizens. It's currently 9:59 a.m. And yesterday at this time, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I was specifically reminding you that there's no sun over the OVITT Family Community Library. And there's no sun over the OVITT Family Community Library now. It's moving as I move toward the OVITT Family Community Library, which is the same pattern of conduct, which is a supernatural occurrence, a documented pattern proven, targeting by this venue that commits kidnapping with the Ontario International Airport, with the Ontario Police Department, and they are legally referred to as the domestic enemies of the U.S., the people of the state, who are going to federal prison, maintaining surveillance inside of the OVITT Family Community Library on behalf of the gang stalker that is the city of Ontario, and doing so exposing what is, again, the city of Fontana, maintaining surveillance yesterday, also when I'm going to the city of Fontana. And this fake sun, as you've already know, as the employees inside of the OVITT Family Community Library are going to face in court,
is the direct evidence that they're targeting in concert with the city of Fontana that will have no sun when you're prosecuting based on the unintelligent illusion. That unintelligent illusion is paired with the blatant stalking and targeting by the government, such as the sex offenders and the psychopaths that are engaging in what is conspiring murder, stalking in commercial planes. It is 10 a.m. in the morning. So let me show you the fake sun that crosses the street where a population is stalking 49141V3, and this is the same circumstance at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the evening where a population of demons are stalking and keeping my genitalia under surveillance in furtherance of murder. And this is the criminal conduct that I'm documenting by Omnitrans and by the city of Fontana, maintaining the same pattern of conduct. And this is rapid movement of a fake sun that is, by the way, still at this address after 4 p.m. Remember what Amazon Prime is doing when they're gang stalking in Fontana and they're gang stalking at this apartment complex, and the fake sun's reflecting off of this same apartment window. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and that same impunity is why Mike LORENZ is going to federal prison. This is exactly what's going to be in court. Don't forget about who's going to federal prison, these demons, sitting around looking like psychopaths while the entity is stalking with them, doing so under the fake sun. This is what they're doing at Emporia Place at the same time. This is P.O.C. And don't forget, because this agency committed kidnapping with the OVITT Family Community Library, this is the pattern of conduct. This is the response when you're being documented as threatening the life of an American citizen, and that's why they're going to federal prison. That includes D. Rodriguez. That includes the employees. That's Benjamin. You have the gang stalkers at the circulation desk stalking with the entity and patrolling inside of the venue is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct under a fake sun at 10 o'clock in the morning, which is not over Emporia Place. This is criminal conduct with the Ontario Police in real time. This is the entity that's going to be subject to martial law. Okay, this is P.O.C. Surveillance is underway inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. This is P.O.C. Hello. You know what's going on with the helicopter? Did something happen this morning?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
You're the first one to tell me about it.
Oh, yeah, I heard it. It just flew over my head right now, Gregory. All right, have a good day. This is called malice. Stalking. They're all stalking. And this is mental illness and a bad weave. P.O.C. Sitting around stalking, laughing like they're not monitoring. They do the same thing when they're walking on the engineer light in the evening, and they're going to federal prison. That's P.O.C. That's Gregory. That's gang stalking. He's committing kidnapping with that same agency, stalking together, and doing so with the city of Fontana and the fake sons over Emporia Place yesterday, where that entity is also targeting by helicopter activity. Okay, the mental illness and the criminal activity together is relevant with regard to what is martial law. All right, and martial law is going to be used to restrain a lawless population engaging in this criminal surveillance system in furtherance of murder. This is P.O.C. This is 10:03 a.m. All right, understand the agency that's stalking by helicopter, they're doing so. That's not helpful. That's concerted conduct, opening up the entrance doors and then stalking by helicopter while I'm capturing very damning evidence. I capture that ongoing pattern on an ongoing basis. The entity stalking by the airport, stalking by the police department, and they're stalking by the people of the state. They're engaged in psychopathic pacing all day long. So this is what they're doing. Here's the shadow that moves behind here in front of my person. Here's another one in front of my person. So while I'm documenting, the entity's stalking in and out of the administration doors, mental illness, while they're stalking with noise, pacing all around wherever I'm located inside of the venue. Pacing, that's John who's stalking. And the entity that's gang stalking through the circulation desk, they're pacing back and forth in concert with the demons that come inside, maintaining surveillance. The entity is going to be prosecuted, and this is calling for martial law. The same lawlessness and gang stalking inside of the Fontana Lewis Library with the Fontana Police Department. They are going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is 10:10 a.m. The video you just listened to, this is the entity engaging in what is very plain and uncomplicated and unambiguous targeting, and the stalking controls, is carried on right inside of the venue, and there's also no mystery about it whatsoever. The entity is stalking clearly, as I'm documenting as well. The stalkers walk right into the library, engaging in surveillance. Okay, literally the same stalkers that you see on video are engaging in surrounding in the path in the engineer light under the fake sun. That is not going to be outside of any window of the bus en route to Fontana, over the Ontario International Airport, over the Fontana Lewis Library, where the Fontana police are stalking, doing so with regard to knowledge of who I am, doing so also by helicopter while I'm documenting that same ongoing unlawful threat. This is the population
population that's going to be dealt with regard to militia law. This is mental illness while that psychopathic conduct is underway, and they are engaging in that conduct in the face of an American citizen, which is the lawlessness of terrorists that are going to be deported. They're going to prison, and they're also going to be prosecuted as terrorists in this country so that the rest of the country knows who they are. And this is the entity that's engaged in that, and it's totally like open in public, meaning the entity is literally stalking and engaging in that in the course of my videos, and they walk right inside maintaining that ongoing surveillance. There's no convoluted state, there's no confusion, there's no pause, and there's no mistake with regard to what the people of the state are and what they're doing, and they're doing it in front of the public, in front of the world, and that's what's relevant. While you're looking at the employees maintain conversations, you're looking at malicious psychopaths who are obsessively monitoring genitalia in the bathroom, engaging in that while they are obsessively doing so in the face of evidence, and they're also exhibiting to what are professionals who are studying this, their mental illness and the ways in which they're going to be prosecuted, and it will include militia law. This prosecution, this population has already demonstrated the necessity of it, and that's what's going to inevitably occur with regard to the population in the city of Ontario throughout Southern California, where the OVITT Family Community Library has actively engaged in what is conspiring by murder with the terrorists, the Ontario Police, where you're looking at the co-conspirator. This is Gregory. This is the entity that's engaging in that while the population paces into the entrance. They're doing so in Engineer Light. This is the same venue where at 5 p.m. that fake sun is still present, and they do so with a straight face in the face of that direct evidence. You're dealing with demons, not people. You're not dealing with sane or rational people that are using any common sense or have any strategy. You're dealing with demons. And so that's why you have, in the face of that evidence, they're engaged in that ongoing gang stalking conduct, and they're doing so in the face of the federal consequences with Mike Lorenz, with that agency. Gregory is engaged in kidnapping. He is going to prison. He's doing so while I'm capturing video today, and that's just analysis with regard to kidnapping. You're talking about criminal summoning that they're committing. You're talking about what is ongoing harassment while they're stalking and interfering with documentation being uploaded onto the internet, and all they're doing is sitting around obsessing in the same way that the entity is obsessing while you're stalking in a helicopter and you're stalking in planes, while I just so happen to be capturing damning evidence of the presence of a light source, which could not possibly be the sun. That's not a coincidence. It's the ongoing pattern. And those terrorists engage in on video before the world and before the federal government that is going to invoke martial law. What is the pattern of conduct in the face of that federal government? That's an impermissible threat under federal law, and that is a basis of federal prison for the serial stalkers maintaining surveillance with that government. They are in the shoes of the government, and the OVITT Family Community Library is already exposed as a terrorist maintaining that surveillance and that conspiracy to commit murder through its employees who are psychopathic, and through the gang stalking patrons who are psychopathic. All they're doing is maintaining shifts, taking turns stalking. Okay, taking turns, making sure that every angle, every corner is covered with regard to keeping one under surveillance, and that's in furtherance of murder. In the same way that the Fontana police and the people of the state are engaging in that pattern of conduct subject to federal prison, it is already established that the city of Ontario's ongoing obsession, and that's a delusion with regard to what is no secret. They are engaging in it before the federal government, and they're going to be prosecuted by that federal government and subject to martial law by that same federal government. It's 10:14 a.m. This is P.O.C. documenting what is evidence of the mental illness where that stalking is underway, and they're doing so before the world, and they're doing so in no mysterious or ambiguous way. Okay, those terrorists engaging in that by the police department, Mike Lorenz, Derek Williams, the entire agency engaging in that stalking conduct, while they've engaged in what you're looking at, the malicious pattern of conduct. You're summoning that agency and talking about you don't know what happened and you need to find out this, and they're stalking. And they're coming in and engaging what is surveillance in that environment while you have what is that Engineer Light. You're stalking. And they're specifically engaging in monitoring on the roads and the highways, as the documentation en route to Fontana shows, as the documentation en route to in Pomona, California shows, as the documentation while I'm remaining in an entirely different region, such as in San Diego County, for example, on the roads and the highways, there is a shared pattern of conduct, including by the government using planes and helicopters, as you're looking at the entire body of evidence while these demons are obsessing day by day, moment by moment, and doing so in a manner that is speaking to what is a clear purpose and taking the life of an American citizen that they are criminally monitoring, keeping under surveillance. And that's what's relevant. I just want to be clear, it's John and Gregory at the circulation desk maintaining criminal surveillance while they open the entrance doors. The entity
entity is stalking by helicopter. This is the same ambush conduct that you're looking at. Remember, they're pacing an engineer light under a fake sun. While the entity is stalking by Omnitrans at American Stereo, the entity is engaging what is flying over my head by helicopter. That's that same ambush conduct. While the entity is monitoring as I'm walking to that bus stop, the entity is engaging in that same pattern of targeting, and they're doing it while they're going to prison for it. They're doing it while they're going to be treated as terrorists under the law. They're doing it while they're going to be subject to martial law, okay? And that's what's behind engaging in surveillance, using the conference rooms, sitting around stalking, staring at books and computers, maintaining any office space, clocking in as an employee, engaging what is pacing, because that's all they're doing throughout the library all day long. They're doing so while they keep vagina under surveillance. They're sex offenders and they're co-conspirators of murder. And this is the prosecution of Michael Lorenz and that entire agency, the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Fire Department. This is P.O.C. It's 10:16 a.m. where the entity's keeping the fakes in until the end of the day, which is also relevant regarding the impunity of a terrorist organization and the the domestic terrorists that are targeting as a population who are not individual citizens. The entity's doing that while the entity's maintaining that fake sun, as I document from Ontario to Fontana, where it remains yesterday as I'm documenting that. And you're also mindful of the entity that is engaging in this, including while I document. The entity has engineer lights swiping all across the walls where the social worker is in her office and she's a gang-stalking psychopath with the City of Ontario. She's monitoring. And so are all the demons that are walking in the library, that are checking in and out of the study rooms. The African-American female that's an employee, she's wearing all black. She changes her color weave, and she's maintaining a conversation. She's monitoring inside of the OVITT Family Community Library with engineer light swiping all across the room. That's how you're getting to what is the mental illness and the malice. And that is the threat to American citizens who are being conspired against. And I'm showing you the system that they're engaging in. And it's also in plain view while they're doing so with the agency that is stalking day and night in helicopters, including in other cities like what the City of Fontana is engaging in. This is P.O.C. The entity is subject to federal prison for conspiring the murder of an American citizen, that they are gang stalking, and doing so in the unequivocal and unambiguous manner like the City of Ontario, the OVITT Family Community Library is. This is P.O.C. at 10:18 a.m. All right, this is mental illness by malicious demons that are gang stalking, creating sensational activity. This is essentially a way of hitting, of impacting while they're monitoring an engineer light. All right, and that's the gang stalking employees with the gang stalking patrons who are psychopaths. This is the Nephilim that are targeting together with the Ontario Police flying over my head at the library. Under the fake sun, that is at 10:24 a.m., not at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is P.O.C. It's the same demon. This is John, and also the same demon that's on video sitting outside of the apartment complex while the Ontario Police fly over my head. This demon's walked right inside to engage in surveillance with that agency in furtherance of murder, and is sitting gang stalking at computer station number 3. And psychopaths engage in targeting in this manner. This is the entity that's doing so, and it's going to be used to diagnose their mental illness. Their criminal conduct of stalking and monitoring is already proven. So you're going to look at the behavioral patterns and the personality defects of the Nephilim that presuppose that they can act one way, and that's rebutting the fact that they're stalking. And in fact, it's psychopathic and antisocial, and it's going to be used to diagnose their mental illness. It's an unlawful threat to American citizens who are murdered by them, and the entity makes up facts regarding what actually happened to them. This is the entity that's going to be both subject to mental examinations and a criminal prosecution. This is 10:24 a.m. P.O.C. I want you to listen to the malicious audible activity. And that's, again, battery, harassment that the employees share in the same way that they're threatening your life with the agency that's stalking you at the venue by helicopters. Excuse me. All right, you are absurdly demented to engage in the pattern of conduct in the way in which the people of the state do. The only one that looks crazy are the demons themselves. These are the light slingers inside trying to carry on a conversation like they're actually focused on it. They're going to be put in facilities and in prisons. This is as though, federal government, you forgot that the Ontario police are stalking outside of the doors. And they're stalking on the inside of the doors as well. P.O.C.
No. Because yeah, for some reason it's not showing. That size looks good. Okay, different, and then what's the one?
Pacing through the demons going into the administration door.
This one?
They're monitoring together. This is mental illness that surrounds me while they're stalking all together, and they're all going to be prosecuted together as well. They're going to prison. They're serial stalking as employees. It's prison. Criminal summoning with the agency. It's prison. Kidnapping with that agency. It's prison. And facilitation of that, prison.
Okay. So that's everything. Okay. So now we're going to do, you already have my memory card? Yes. Okay, so
I just log out from here.
leave it on just in case like something. Sometimes the print doesn't go
Alrighty, these are the delusional demons. If you'll recall, the entity has the fake sun over me at 10:24 a.m. at 16:30 East Holt Boulevard. It's sitting over this entrance where John is gang stalking me with the demon that's gang stalking computer number 3 in order to create what is sensational activity while they're obsessing and stalking and monitoring to me as hostile terrorists, actually, is what they're doing while they want to talk about how to print. Okay, it's currently 10:26 a.m. This is the malice with which the entity is going to be federally prosecuted. It's audible activity. Monitoring is occurring in furtherance of murder. You have a whole library full of demons that are all stalking and monitoring me, following me around, and also doing so with impossible light and with the agency and the airport that just proved that all they're doing is stalking. P.O.C. It's 10:27 a.m. Alrighty, the bottom line here is that the state of California, the city of Ontario, the gang stalking system, the criminal surveillance that is revealing what is domestic terrorism, this is the unprecedented basis for what the demon-possessed, the Nephilim, require, and it is martial law. This is P.O.C. It is 10:40 a.m. What's going on back here? Hi. I'm fine. I'm just gonna cut through if you don't mind. This is impossible light activity. The fake sun's over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library where the Ontario police are stalking by helicopter. And here's the fake sun. This is the page 1 cafe end. This is the city hall back here. Remember, the entity has the fake sun over me at the city hall at 12:51 in the afternoon. I'm going to show you the fake sun that is over the back portion. This is where the demon, that were her head, the Securitas she likes to stalk with flashing light activity. She's engaged in surveillance right now as well. And the fact of that is that the fake sun's no longer over the entrance of the library. This is as I move inside of the library where demons like John and Gregory and every other employee are engaging in surveillance. This is impossible light activity also with regard to what is not sunlight and what is not the sun, the rapid movement and the remaining character of this fake sun. I enter into the entrance, I walk out of the entrance, and that's where that fake sun is at. Let's look at the entrance. Now, there's no sun over there. It's at the back portion of the library. This is College of Laverne, University of Law. This is the Ontario City Hall. This is the Ontario Senior Center. This is the fake sun over the top of my head. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct while they are monitoring the evidence that I am also documenting. That's what's behind the Ontario police engaging very foolish and heavily documented patterns of criminal activities such as stalking in furtherance of the intent to obstruct justice, which is also, again, very imprudent when a federal court is going to rule regarding what is proof that you've been targeting the entire time. Targeting in furtherance of murder, because that's the only reason why a police department is stalking, and that the people of the state in that state with that agency are stalking like these psychopaths. The one keeping his back to me, looking the opposite direction, especially while that demon is aware that I'm referring to him. And they don't have to say anything because the fake sun
that is not at the United States Postal Service at the same time is the evidence that they are both stalking, engaging in surveillance, and so is the mop head with the Securitas uniform. So is the entirety of the workforce at the OVITT Family Community Library. There are demons engaging in that pattern of conduct. At 10:40 a.m., the entity has the fake sent over me at the entrance of the United States Postal Service at 1555 East Hope Boulevard. That's not this. Okay, this is how you're breaking down. None of this is the natural environment, and it's not sunlight. You also know that because the entity has the fake sun in an entirely different location, such as what is Bethel Congregation through the side entrance, where the Ontario International Airport is also stalking there. This is where the entity is moving this fake sun to go back where I entered at the venue. That's very rapid movement if you pay attention to that. However, it's still at the entrance when I'm walking in at 1 o'clock, walking out at 1 o'clock, 2, 3, 4, 5, where you're looking at the same employees, John and Gregory and Alexander, where they're walking around on engineer light inside of that venue as though the sun is still going to be at the same entrance, even though it rapidly moved from the entrance to be back here around me. This is the entity that is stalking with the fake sun, the entity that engaged in that terrorism with helicopter, because I'm reminding you about Amazon gang stalking under the fake sun that's reflecting off of this same apartment building after 4 p.m. And I will attach that video. And the Ontario Police Department is going to be subject to federal prison disbanding, and that includes every kidnapper, everyone engaging with his criminal summoning with the people of the state, the ones that sit around stalking with them, and then summoning them. When there is no actual summoning, the Ontario police are engaged in surveillance, which they prove while they're stalking me by helicopters everywhere, including like they were at Emporia Place, where that fake sun remained over me yesterday at 9:56 a.m. Okay, you're paying attention to the entity that's engaging in this conduct. This is what is referring to what is the necessity of martial law, and this is not sunlight either. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that keeps the fake sun, so we're going to go right back to the entrance now, where I entered, and the entity's keeping that fake sun over me, contrary to what it's doing when I walk outside of the entrance. The fake sun's over the entrance. If I walk back out of the back of the library, that's where the fake sun is. And the entity's engaging in what is obvious surveillance with the people of the state. They're gang stalking, and they walk right into the library, maintaining surveillance with that terrorist organization that is showing the world that they are the Nephilim, in need of martial law, in need of physical restraints, and in need of regular mental examinations, including what is the removal of office from the domestic enemy, which is Paul Leon. Okay, the criminal conduct, the facilitation of the City of Ontario 1624445. They're vagina monitoring employees of the municipality. They're mentally ill. They're engaging in the conduct stalking with light, creating light activity. They do so under the guise of what is engaging in what is the business of the municipality. The business of the municipality, as you see the fake sun move from the back to the front in alignment with me, not in alignment with that demon or any of those demons, or that demon in that vehicle is not moving like when I'm documenting on Omnitrans. The entity has the fake sun over the United States Postal Service right now, and it's also outside of the door, the side entrance of Bethel Congregation at 536 North Euclid Avenue, where the airport is targeting. There are no planes taking off on the side of that church, and there's also no sun that would be there, and it wouldn't be mutually there, and also at the United States Postal Service. But it's also still here after 1 o'clock, 2, 3, 4. In fact, it's still in alignment with my face while I'm inside of the entity that's maintaining surveillance after 5 p.m. while they have engineer light pushing into the depths of the entrance, onto the carpet, into the back of that library, where demons are walking on it, monitoring, just like they're walking on it now. This is P.O.C. This is the disbanding of the Ontario Police, who are exposed as the Nephilim. It's a terrorist organization, and they've conspired my murder. They've murdered before. They're engaged in what is kidnapping while they're maintaining criminal surveillance, and they have sorely failed. It's an abysmal failure with regard to losing control of the narrative, where they sought to defame my character. They're going to prison for that as well, while they are clearly stalking me and doing so with the whole population. This is the pattern of conduct that the City of Fontana shares. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:47 a.m., where the fake sun is still here at the end of the day, which you already know when I go to the City of Fontana and the entity has all of a sudden the sun that's over that library through the windows of the front and back of that library. This is P.O.C. This is the pattern revealing mental illness. The demon possessed are maintaining what is methods of peculiarized light under what is that engineered environment. It's relevant to monitoring on your devices and monitoring your physical movement. This is light activity. When you are being monitored by a population of demons, and they wear uniforms, they represent companies, they bear logos, just like Amazon Prime that's gang stalking at this same address after 4 p.m. And that's what triggered the demons of the Ontario Police keeping me under surveillance while they fly over my head, and I remind you about that. And I'm gonna pull that video up because those demons are going to prison for a documented pattern of terrorism in concert with the psychopaths conspiring your murder, and that conspiracy is public knowledge. P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 10:49 a.m. You're looking at what is a sex offender at computer station number 3, engaging what is harassing a woman, stalking a woman, and bullying a woman while he is engaging in that on behalf of the demons that are employed at the venue, the demons that are stalking with the municipality outside the video you just listened to, doing so while he is stalking in the path. This is a demon that's monitoring. That's the significance of the engineer light inside, where they're using the devices, where they're also stalking with noise while engineer light is flying all about on the walls inside of this library, which I've documented in possible light activity. And he is stalking in the path. This is a sex offender. This is basically a demon that's engaging what is harassing me while he's monitoring, sitting across from me at computer number 3. This is the entity that's engaging that through a population, which I'm going to prosecute for as well. I did take his picture. It's 10:49 a.m. P.O.C. All right, be mindful of the fact, the ongoing physical violence, the ongoing harassment, the ongoing passive-aggressive means of battery, like slamming the brakes when I'm on the bus, in order for me to be tossed about and my property also to be damaged, thrown about, to engage in what is a battery. It's a passive-aggressive battery, if you will, while the entity is engaged in what is this ongoing jerking of the desks, which is, it's supernatural, it's demonic activity, because of the impact, like the light activity, it's supernatural. This is conduct on behalf of that agency. These are not men. Mike Lorenz isn't a man. These are not men that are sitting around stalking me all day long. These are demons. So that's what you're mindful of. These are not men. That's why you're sitting around doing that to a woman. They're not men, they're demons. Be mindful of that. It's 10:52 a.m. POC. Alrighty, it is 11:04 a.m. and at computer station number 1, the demon-possessed stalking at the C Street turn circle crossing path with simultaneity to my being targeted with what is impossible light, okay? This is while the demons are crossing path inside. That's what the pacing in and out of the administration door serves. That's what's going back and forth to the desk and asking the demon John questions. Oh, how do I print while impossible light activity is shooting inside, targeting me? The impossible light that you see inside of the Page 1 Cafe, the impossible light that you see inside of the Fontana Lewis Library, that's the impossible light that you see moving across the wall while they're stalking me at a bus stop. This is the impossible light activity that's inside while demons are engaging in the P.O.C. Minors in tow, bookcases in their hands. They're demons that are engaging in the same P.O.C. and then he's going to be prosecuted for what is terrorism on behalf of what is the gang leader, Mike Lorenz, who is going to federal prison. All right, all the audible activity, all the light activity is in furtherance of that conspiracy to commit murder, where that agency is fully engaged in that, as I captured on video again today. It's 11:06 a.m. The entity's maintaining the fake sun, which is never going to be the cause of any light activity flashing or any light activity shooting like a laser or any light activity growing and stretching onto the carpet for them to pace around on into the latter part of the afternoon. They're doing that while they are maliciously engaged in the pattern of conduct. The malicious engagement in the pattern of conduct is the outward demonstration of severe mental illness. Severe. Okay, where you are necessarily taking the demon-possessed away from children whom they are a threat to while they're psychologically torturing and gang stalking another, while they're doing so as demons that are engaging in psychopathic pacing, very demented behavior, while they're engaging in things such as the perpetual sex offense, molesting with impossible light, while they're doing things such as stalking as a population, and also doing so in the face of what is the world audience. This is P.O.C. The entity's engaging in that with the employees. All right, it's 11:06 a.m. Alrighty, you do have a demon. This is Benjamin jumping to engage in sexual violence, and this is because the entity is fearful of the video that I'm going to capture regarding the Fontana Police Department gang stalking at 12:38 p.m. Go on right ahead, Benjamin. Thank you. That's POC while he's monitoring my vagina with Natasha. And Natasha's engaged in kidnapping with the OVITT Family Community Library as well. Benjamin is engaging what is jumping in my path as I walk outside of the bathroom where this African-American woman with the bad wig gang stalking at computer number 1 a couple mornings ago as a means of harassment. I'm doing so under the fake sun while they're monitoring. Is engaged in surveillance by just sitting in the library. The sex agent from Upland, California, engaged in documented targeting the bathroom and harassment. She's the one typically engaged in surveillance where the OVITT Family Community Library, a sex offender, a terrorist, a co-conspirator of murder, conveniently places chairs for the surveillance purposes of genitalia.
by the entity. This is the entity that's engaging in that, while Benjamin is engaging in what is championing vagina monitoring in concert with Michael Renz. In doing so, it's 12:38 p.m., so I'm going to go into the video regarding Benjamin's sexual violence as a co-conspirator of murder, keeping my vagina under surveillance at the OVIT, where the entity has that fake son in Fontana at the same time right now. This is P.O.C. All right, it's currently 12:38 p.m., so this is what the same line activity you saw this morning, that's priority. And this is the same entrance. The entrance where the fake was opening at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's going at what is 12:38 p.m. This is where the Fontana Police Department is shown to be engaged in the same criminal pattern of conduct as the Ontario Police. The feces eaters who are, again, not very intelligent with regards to the prosecution, okay? The prosecution is doing this by turning the evidence in courtroom where Michael Renz will have no evidence defending what is outright targeted by that agency and by every human also. Michael Renz a fake son, and it is not, as also science supports, going to be outside of the Fontana Police Library. The Fontana Police are stalking. And so are the people in the state. So are the people in the state calling themselves priority. By the way, priority information is very limited because their children are immigrants. You are understanding federal government creates to raise all religions in California, including those that are engaged in criminal private parties with the city of Fontana. The city of Fontana and the city of Ontario are sharing that private conduct. While this is over what is Spring Street at the Fontana Police Library, 846 here out there. Well, like the 97465 are here to drive them, including light activity. That's the purpose of that whole creation of a crime scene where the Ontario Police are doing this exact same thing and more. In fact, the entity has the fake son while they are terrorizing me, because I'm reminding you that Amazon is a gang stalking terrorist, just like they showed you on video yesterday in Fontana with the Fontana Police Department. And they're routinely engaged in what it's targeting while the entity keeps the fake son over this same apartment building that it was over this morning at 10 o'clock. And the entity has the fake sun reflecting off of the same apartment building. That's when, at 10 o'clock, the Ontario police, who are engaged in surveillance, which is going to put Michael Renz in prison, and the people of the state, 9 VSK 284, conspiring murder together in concert with the city of Fontana, where they are stalking by helicopters, specifically targeting, because that's why that fake sun, necessarily a fake sun, because that which is outside of the windows of that Fontana Lewis Library is not outside of the entrance doors of the U.S.C. Family Community Library, not in a natural environment. The entity is engaged in the same field because when I walked in at 10 a.m., the fake sun remains at the entrance doors. When I walk out of the back, the fake sun is over the back. This is relevant to Benjamin engaging in vagina monitoring in concert with the Ontario police. If you want to engage in surveillance with the police, then you are going to federal prison with the police, who are not actually law enforcement. They're engaged in what is criminal surveillance with humans like this, maintaining surveillance, presence in the path. This is what they're doing inside of the library, maintaining presence in the path, and they are bots. These are hollowed out zombies, vagina monitors that sit around staring at their devices while they're gang stalking, creating activity and stalking in the path. This is mental illness. This is public corruption. This is the cause for what is martial law, okay? They are doing so intentionally. How do you know about their knowledge? Because the Fontana police have a fake son over there at the Fontana Lewis Library. That's not a coincidence, it's a pattern. And it's a supernatural pattern. In fact, the fake son is going down the same path it was when the mop head back here was stalking at the gate. This is the Page One Cafe. This is called Crossing Back. This is where, again, you're understanding the gang stalkers of the Ontario City Hall are going to be out of a job. All right, they're engaged in criminal surveillance, not the business of the people, but because of the criminal conduct of calling on the business of the people of the state is surveillance. All right, and this is how you have this, which is impossible, that the sun would be over the same venue. This is where I came out in the back, and as I come out of the back, you see that fake sun moving as I move, and this is also not in Fontana. This is proving what is, again, the requirement, the necessity of martial law to deal with the lawlessness, the system of murdering and kidnapping and terrorizing American citizens, which the city of Fontana and the city of Ontario POC. And as you're looking at priority landscaping, you're looking at, which I will remind you about, in Fontana, you're looking at Amazon.
They're gang stalking with the Fontana police in the same way that landscape, the City of Ontario, priority landscaping are gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. This takes place doing the same thing. What is this? Psychopathic patients, the mentally ill that are slinging light stalking of the population, they're going to regret it in court. They're going to regret it in court. The medical professionals that are going to be relevant to the prosecution and dealing with the terrorism in the U.S., you're looking at the evidence which is going to be used to diagnose them and put them in the appropriate facilities where they're no longer affected. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently at the same entrance, 12:38 p.m., where the sun would not be. In addition, it's also not there while Montana police are showing you who are gang stalking. This is how we start. All right, mental illness is underway. Mental illness is exhibited while the entity maliciously engages in that POC, like the City of Ontario. This is all similar.
Alrighty, that is, it's currently 12:44 p.m., so that video is going to be published onto YouTube right now. It's 12:44 inside of the OVIT, and that fake sun's in the same position where the group of demons, including Gregory, are engaging what is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, stalking by helicopter. And this is relevant to the mental illness by the demons that are pacing as employees, maintaining audible activity, engaging what is harassment, engaging in sexual violence with the gang stalking patrons like Benjamin, doing so with malice, doing so while keeping evidence under surveillance, and doing so while fully invested in what is a conspiracy to commit murder. And you're going to prison for that. It's 12:45 p.m. The impunity of the demon possessed is noted, and it's also relevant for what are the inevitable prosecution for harassment, criminal summoning, terrorism, this perpetual sex offense, which is committed in furtherance of murder. It's no ordinary sex offense, and the entities engage in that as a population on behalf of the terrorist organizations like the Fontana Police Department and like the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. Is everything okay? Is that somebody hitting? Oh, okay. That's audible activity creation, using minors to engage in the activity creation. It is currently 12:45 p.m. This is sensational activity while they have a minor children engaging in the same thing. When the demons that are of the male gender, they're not men, engage in what is harassment in the same manner. It's malice. It's 12:46 p.m. under the fake sun, P.O.C. All right, I do want to document the entity engaged in targeting with the City of Ontario, engaged in theft of personal property at OVIT Family Community Library, that is sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. Doing so while they are being documented. The entity's pattern of theft of property is also shared by the Ontario Police Department that's engaging in gang stalking. The entity is engaging in what is damages that are not calculated based on, for example, the dollar amount. Let's say you buy $5 headphones and those headphones are stolen, or even stolen by the police, or they're stolen when the police are kidnapping you. Based on the pattern of conduct underway, it's not based on the dollar amount of those headphones. It's based on the hardship. It's based on the ongoing incalculable harms. It's based on the fact that the entity is conspiring your murder and is engaging also in the circumstance of being, for example, displaced, and the inability to merely go and replace that. That's the hardship that the entity, while they're harassing and terrorizing and stalking as an entity. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. I analyzed that before. These are the demons that are sitting around stalking inside of the library, engaged in what is theft of personal property. It is currently 1:23 p.m. This is relevant to the prosecution of this entity that is gang stalking under the fake sun. As you heard, as you can see, that's remaining over the Fontana Lewis Library at the same time. This is the entity that is conspicuously threatening the life of an American citizen, and they're going to be prosecuted as terrorists accordingly. P.O.C. This is relevant for deportation. It's relevant for prosecution as terrorists. It's relevant for prosecution as perpetual sex offenders, conspiring murder, and it's relevant to the entity that's going to be subject to what is disbanding, shutting down the departments in Ontario that are in gang stalking, etc. But I do want to be clear, the government's stealing my property. It's 1:23 p.m. P.O.C. It is 7:57 p.m. 9 UXZ 355.
That's a license plate of the people of the state. At El Pescador, which is monitoring. Just like what is going on inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, it's just like what's going on inside of the Fontana Los Library, for that matter. But what's going on it's what's going on aboard the Omnitrans bus and what is going on outside. The people of the state are on behalf of the gang members. They are themselves gang members, and this is gang violence is going to be prosecuted with regard to conspiracy to murder by the government. And this is the system of gang stalking, where the demon-possessed are engaging in what is the P.O.C. 7 Sam, Nancy Sam 403. They're doing so on behalf of the gang members themselves. The Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Police Department, the entity that's criminally monitoring in the shoes of the state directly, they are vicariously targeting me through nothing other than demons that are engaging in what is exhausting conduct. It's exhausting to be around psychotic people, and that's what the people of the state are. They're the demon-possessed, and all they are doing are sitting around stalking because they're in the library, doing so while they're employed at the library, while they're going as a patient at the library. They're all stalking in that environment, and all they're doing is engaging in demonic activity all day long. So they're stalking with demonic activity all day long, sitting around flashing, sparking, impossible light, sitting around stalking and harassing and battering with sensational activity. All of the activity that the demon-possessed create and surround with while they're stalking is a means of monitoring. It's all demonic, and they are psychotic, okay? And I just want to document, this is relevant to the entity that's going to be mentally assessed. Gang stalking is going to be prosecuted with regard to mental illness that is inherent to that criminal conduct, just like you hear here. That's impossible audible activity. It's amplified in volume, and it's demonic activity right in front of your face. As they sit at the desk, they're engaging in demonic activity. They sit with minor little kids that are creating sensational activity, jerking the table in the same way that these demons that want to be looked at as men, they're not men, they're demons. They are engaged in what is battery with the same level of impact while they are engaged in what is sitting at these desks. It's demonic activity, and that's all that the entity is doing. So I'm being stalked by a population of demons that are practicing, they're engaging in demonic activity all day long, engaging in stalking inside of that library. And that's what's underway outside. I'm documenting license plates. The Ontario police are tracking my steps while the people of the state, demons, are engaged in what is demonic activity. It's impossible light. It's ongoing amplified audible activity. The entity is stalking by plane. The entity is stalking by amplified train. The entity is doing so with regard to stalking as a population, and it's the exact same pattern of conduct at every venue, on the bus, at any venue, like even when I'm going to a different city. This is what the city of Fontana is establishing. This is what the city of Pomona is establishing, as I document. They're criminally monitoring me in furtherance of murder. And the entities engaged in this on behalf of the gang leader, Mike Lorenz, and the terrorist leaders of the Ontario International Airport. Okay, they're engaging in that as they exit the venue. Mission Furniture, gang stalking, okay? Coincidentally, no, pursuant to the P.O.C, stalking on behalf of the state. 7TDU867, 9DRB640, 7TLN964. 8GEN665, and the Ontario police are stalking in the path, maintaining helicopter activity, right? They're flying around the perimeter as I'm walking outside, and the demon-possessed are the ones that are stalking with impossible light while they are driving by. It's not sunlight, it has nothing to do with that. It's demonic activity. And I just want to be clear, these are the things that I look forward to expounding upon regarding the mental illness of people that you need to know are demon-possessed, and that you need to be aware of it because they're psychotic, okay? And it's exhausting to be around what are crazy people, and all they're doing is stalking. All right, stop it in the middle of the street, doing so, turning on their hazard lights with regard to stalking and monitoring me. This is the pattern of conduct, and it's on behalf of the co-conspirator to murder, Mike Lorenz. This is license plate. And this is also impunity. Impunity is relevant to the prosecution of this terrorist leader and the people of the state. 9 Robert Nancy Robert 837. This is driven by a Latina female stalking, a car full of them. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct, and I want to be clear, impunity is relevant to the disregard for the pleas of mercy for immigrants, because no one is going to think twice about
deporting them, while they as I'm documenting ongoing impunity, while they sit around engaging in surveillance with the government all day long, because that's all they're doing. Mike LORENZ has gang members sitting around stalking me all day long, including the employees of the OVITT Family Community Library. Mike LORENZ has what are gang members sitting around stalking all day long while I go any place. That's what the specific environment is following for. 51377F. You want to stop so I can get the rest of it, Satan? 51377. I can't really. F4. And they're engaging in this on behalf of the state. Their presence all around me is on behalf of the state that's stalking by helicopter. That state directly engages in conspicuous stalking when they're flying over my head by helicopter. All right, when they're engaging what is flying in circles around me by helicopter. While they're sounding helicopter activity, and the same stalkers, the same demons, the same demonic activity is underway. Okay, Mike LORENZ is going to federal prison with regard to what is terrorism while the population practices demonic activity, with regard to monitoring you while they are stalking you in furtherance of murdering you. Okay, this is why Jason Fields and Tracy Banks solicited this, creating what is a fake conservatorship, fake marriage, cashing in on insurance policies, and I never died. Okay, and I definitely wouldn't give this cockroach, Jason Fields or Tracy Banks, any sort of consent to have an insurance policy on me. I don't have any children. I haven't, and I can handle my own. I'm the one that went to law school. I'm the one that's educated. Tracy Banks is a fraud, a con woman, and Jason Fields is a con man. He's actually not a man, he's a demon. 8ZV and 314. But my point is, these demons are engaging in this on behalf of that criminal conspiracy to steal. All right, to engage in what is theft by stalking through the police who are conspiring your murder. That's why they're going to prison. So is Mike LORENZ. So is the people of the state. It's exhausting to be around psychotic people. All they're doing is sitting around flashing. It's impossible light while they're stalking. It's impossible audible activity while they're stalking. It's impossible sensational activity while all they're doing is stalking. It's exhausting to be around. And this is the reality regarding mental illness. And we have been under the false impression regarding propaganda regarding mental illness. Mental illness is an exception. Okay, no, mental illness actually is the normal. The demon possessed, they share it. As a population, 75799 Apple 3, surveillance in the parking lot with their vehicle lights on. So this is the entity that's engaging that on behalf of the gang members themselves, and I am capturing images of that. This is the entity that's looking at me, publishing the evidence. I want to be clear, the entity is obsessively consumed with what is practicing witchcraft, and Mike LORENZ is not concerned about what is the actual physical consequences regarding a criminal case to put him in prison. That's why they're still stalking to date, and that's also relevant to how profusely he and the terrorists of that agency and the corrupt officials in the city and the state, etc., are going to be prosecuted, because that's how much impunity that they are acting with. And that's relevant. This is relevant to Tracy Banks going to prison and not getting out of prison. This is relevant to Fields going to prison and not getting out of prison. Okay? That's P.O.C. It's currently 8:05 p.m. All right, Ontario Police engaging what is stalking. Upon my exit of the venue at the shopping center where the gym is located, where the W.S.S. shoes, where I've captured the fake sunset and the fake sunrise. Ontario Police, pursuant to a pattern of conduct of stalking as demons who are both monitoring and they are physically stalking, meaning following from place to place. When you're monitoring, you are stalking also. That's the definition under the law. 9D-IU-159 is molesting with light, stalking with that police department that is stalking with them while they're in close proximity to me to touch me with engineer light. Okay, and that's that agency. But I want to document, by agency I mean not the terrorist agency, I mean that's that agent relationship amongst the demon-possessed people of the state who are stalking ceaselessly with that agency. Okay, Ontario Police are stalking as I exit the venue after completing a purchase, and they're doing so in my path. Okay, they're engaged in gang stalking and doing so upon my exit of the store right now. And they're doing so at what is the WSS Shoes, the plaza where the gym is, where I've heavily documented them stalking by helicopter and planes. And they are crossing path in a Ontario Police vehicle in doing so. It's 8:33 p.m. This is the documentation that is going to be relevant with regard to terrorism, with regard to the mental illness of that agency and their obsessive stalking that they've been engaged in for years, and their severe mental illness as a population that is mentally ill wearing these police uniforms, and they're psychotic.
They are absolutely psychotic and consumed with stalking me while they are engaged in what is the practice of witchcraft, which is the reason for their severe mental illness. That agency is stalking me very heavily upon every location that I go. And as I walk out like clockwork, Ontario police are crossing path. They're stalking. All right. They're driving what is south on Euclid Avenue, and then they turn to drive west on G Street, crossing path. It is, and that's conspicuous stalking because they're stalking now while I cannot see them, while I don't see them. Conspicuous stalking is where the government is in your face stalking, and that's exactly what they are going to prison for. And that's upon establishing the P.O.C. And then the federal government is going to prosecute terrorists that engage in that with regard to a malicious pattern of conduct. It's currently 8:34 p.m. All right, molesting down a dark alley. It's not their headlights, it's impossible light activity. And these are psychopaths lying in wait so that they can touch. License plate. Absolutely psychotic, and this is the same psychopathic conduct of the Ontario Police. License 1 Charlie, Apple Charlie, Henry, Igloo Sam, molesting with light. That's a Latina female, an absolute psychopath. She's a demon. And so is 8 George Edward Nancy 665. These two homosexual predators, if they're not natural-born citizens, they're going to be deported. And not only that, they're homosexual predators with regard to wanting to touch another woman, stalking another woman, lying in wait for that woman in the middle of the night to engage in what is practicing demonic activity. These are demons. This is P.O.C. This is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded as well. This mentally ill behavior, which they concentrated inside of a library all day long, stalking with light, stalking with noise, stalking with sensational activity on behalf of that agency that's stalking as well. Psychotic. P.O.C. It's currently 8:35 p.m. Alrighty, this is documentation just noting regarding the enemies of this country that are gang stalking. That is the people of the state, those that would like to be referred to as American citizens, those that would like to benefit from the Constitution in a federal case regarding their ability to remain in this country. The entities engaging in targeting me, engaging in what is harassment, terrorism, psychological torture, sexual violence, while they, as a population that you can hear in the background, engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murdering me in real time, are engaging in more of that stalking with impossible light, while the policy regarding deporting terrorists that are stalking with the unintelligent government that provides evidence against them together. In fact, the government is stalking by plane based on that same enemy that are the gang stalking immigrants who are being deported. It does include those that are at Chevron, who was targeting me while I'm at 537 North Euclid Avenue with the airport in furtherance of murder. Gang stalking immigrants are thus being deported. Doing so while they're targeting me with impossible light activity. License 7T LX895 with the gang stalking immigrants, and they're doing so. You're subject to deportation. And as I am referring to this is always the case. The entity, on behalf of the gang members, the gang leaders of the City of Ontario International Airport and the police department and the fire department, engage in what is conduct as an immigrant population. If you're from Africa and you sailed here on some boat, if you're from El Salvador, if you are from Mexico, Tijuana, if you're from Jamaica, if you're from Ireland, I just want to be clear, you're not a natural-born citizen. You're engaged in gang stalking, you're going to be deported. And the entity that's gang stalking is doing so. I don't have to document your license plate. This is terrorism on behalf of a pattern of conduct by a whole city. The government is stalking. Mike Lorenz's criminal conduct and that pattern of conduct is serving to have you deported, because that population is sharing in that pattern of conduct, and that population maintains what is a substantial immigrant population, especially in the state of California. And guess what? In California, the immigrants are terrorists, and every single last one of them are getting deported. And I want to be clear, they engage in more sexual violence. They're engaging in more harassment, like the airport stalking right now at 9:23 p.m. demonstrate. They're being deported, as they've been targeting all day long with the terrorist organization in furtherance of my murder. They're being deported, and as they do more so, inflicting more harm and harassment and terrorism and sexual violence as demons that are psychopathic, flinging around light in an effort to murder somebody. And you want to stay in this country and you're not.
So I just want to be clear. I want to make sure that this is public knowledge in my ongoing public investigation, because the immigrants in this state have established that they have publicly communicated their hatred for the state, their hatred for American citizens, for natural-born citizens, those that have welcomed them in this country, okay? And they're targeting them. And that's what I represent. And this is the reality of how they feel about their sentiment toward the Constitution and about what this country is actually about, while they're gang stalking with gargoyles like Mike Lorenz. Okay, this is P.O.C. The entities engaged in that. So I want to document the immigrants sharing in that pattern of conduct. The airport again targeting, stalking over here at Euclid Avenue. The airport's being shut down. And Otif El Kadi, if this is an immigrant, he's being deported. It's the same disdain for this Constitution. That's why you have the airport stalking in the first place. And they're going to be deported. Okay, no terrorist is going to be given any sort of different treatment. They're all gargoyles. They're all co-conspirators of murder. They're all enemies of this country. And the enemies of this country that have no business, that's the first ones to go, are the ones that have been granted a privilege to be here. Like those that may be on an Ontario executive team and you've been granted a privilege to be here, that privilege is revoked and you're listening to the evidence that's going to have you deported, including while the airlines are engaging in terrorism on your watch. You're exposed as a terrorist, and terrorists are being deported out of this country, okay? And that includes those that are gang stalking at the Chevron. The entity is targeting me. Harry is engaged in what is systematically targeting me, and doing so potentially as an immigrant. His license plate is 7 Xavier, Indiana, Yolanda, 347, one demon after another. And as I document, more of that impossible light activity is speaking to what is targeting me. This is the entity that does so. They're doing so at the Iglesia Apostolica Prophetica. I documented the license plates, and they're systematically targeting. If any of those gang stalkers are not natural-born citizens, you're going to be deported. So I just want to be, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and they are serving for their own papers to be sent out of this country. These are psychopaths. They sit around stalking all day long, engaging in demonic activity, stalking and demonic activity all day long, exhausting psychopaths. They are a danger to be in this country in the first place. They exhibit that while they're stalking in planes. That needs to be deported. They exhibit that while they're stalking as a whole police department and a fire department and fire trucks, and you're stalking with light. How is that even occurring from what is you're driving in the street? And then you're so delusional you want to be in court one day in the near future talking about you're a private citizen and you don't know the targeted individual, and everybody's going to forget about they're being deported out of this country. It's absurd criminal conduct, and it's absurd mental illness. The mentally ill terrorists are being deported out of this state. They're being deported out of the United States, and they're never coming back. This is P.O.C. The entity's doing so. The gang stalking immigrants, they use their children. This is what I documented today. You have sex offenders under the age of majority, terrorists that are engaging in gang stalking with the government, doing so with their terrorist parents that are immigrants, them and their gang stalking children that are terrorists in this country. They're being deported out of this country. Every tactic that they engage in, I'm publicly announcing it, because this is why you're going to celebrate when the immigrants are being deported out of this country. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:29 p.m. 90037 F4. This is P.O.C. The Ontario International Airport targeting while immigrants are being specifically noted. This is relevant to what are an enemy in the first place, and an enemy with regard to the gang stalking immigrants. They target me while I'm exposing terrorism by this immigrant population. That airport is being shut down. It's totally illegitimate, and it's all state action. This is why they're in this country engaging in violence, because the government itself is a terrorist murdering American citizens with immigrants. They're being deported out of this country. This is P.O.C. It's 9:29 p.m. where the entity's targeting me, and doing more so while immigrants are monitoring my device and engaging what is stalking me with impossible light so that they can commit murder and profit. This is why Jason Fields is going to prison. All of this violence, all of this mentally ill behavior was going toward my murder, my demise, so he can have my money with Tracy Banks, and they're both going to prison, and they're not getting out. They're not getting out, and immigrants are being deported out of the U.S. This is P.O.C. It's 9:30 p.m. Another analytical note. The terrorists that are of immigrant status in this country, monitoring, as you can hear in the background, they have fully communicated as they are targeting me in furtherance of murder while I am prosecuting at the same time, which is an intolerable threat posed by the government that's going to be prosecuted by the federal government. And the federal government is prosecuting
domestic terrorists that are immigrants, and it's going to include deporting them, mandatory. They have clearly communicated the fact that they would rather forfeit their citizenship, their presence in this country, than to cease engaging in targeting. And that's exactly what they're engaging in. That's exactly what their pattern of conduct shows and proves. That's exactly what's ongoing right now. And this is relevant to that pattern of conduct that I've been documenting. The impunity, the malice, the ongoing obsessive stalking, the harassment, the threats, the state's conduct in concert with the immigrants. I just want to be clear. The immigrants have in every regard manifested permanent removal from this country. They have clearly communicated unequivocally that they despise this country and they would rather be removed from it than to abide by the laws in this country. The very proof of the pattern of conduct, which you are looking at every day. The pattern of conduct is the evidence of that statement, that sentiment of the immigrants in this state regarding American citizens' rights to not target them, to not target them as a means of retaliating because they're enforcing their rights about you targeting them. This is relevant to the deportation policy, okay? I just want to make sure that that's clear. The entities engaging in what is ongoing demonic activity, all they are doing is stalking and terrorizing with demonic activity. These are the demon-possessed. So it's benefiting the country to get rid of as many demons as possible in the first place. And not only that, it's when you're talking about the demon-possessed, you're talking about what is their behavior. It's a benefit to the country to get as many mentally ill people, immigrants, as possible, and all of them. This is the Nephilim that are engaging in that pattern of conduct, but it's an easy way to remove a large ratio because of the immigrant population in California that is engaged in the P.O.C. All right, but I just want to make sure that that is clear. The entity has clearly communicated that. While the government targets me, as I am subject to immigrants targeting, and I document it, or I refer to I.I.S, the government targets me. The government targets directly, meaning helicopter activity, criminal summoning, stalking by planes. As I'm documenting immigrants, the population itself engages in more violence toward. This is the entity that is itself. The immigrants are communicating their hatred for this country. Period. And your hatred is going to be returned with what is doing you a favor, a service, and removing you. That's what's happening. That's what you are manifesting with your demonic activity. Okay? You are manifesting what is impoverished, an impoverished future. Okay, you're manifesting what is an unstable future, what is a stable outside of this country. That's what you're manifesting. And I will be clear, it's not a contingency. Documentation, prosecution, deportation, mandatory following. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently 9:49 p.m. Alrighty, 10:07 p.m. Ongoing terrorism by the gang stalkers coming from the venue 115. That would be North F Street, the Apostolica Prophetica Iglesia. It is no genuine church. Those are a bunch of demons, Spanish-speaking demons to be particular. And they're engaged in terrorism with the state of California that is also targeting me in concert with them and the rest of the people of the state by plane. The entity doing so at approximately 10:04 p.m., doing so while they are together targeting and communicating their unlawful threat. They're in the United States engaging what is war against American citizens in the United States. They're being deported. They represent the entity, not just these demons that are in relevant position at Apostolica Prophetica, this Iglesia Apostolica Prophetica. Anyway, this is the entity doing so, stalking on F Street in order to engage in what is terrorism with impossible light, doing so while communicating a threat with regard to disdain and hatred for this country and for American citizens, especially while the deportation policy, which is going to apply uniformly to everyone, is being documented. All right, and all these demons are monitoring with the immigrants as well. They are immigrants themselves, and they're monitoring with immigrants who are going to be deported. So I do want to document the gang stalkers that are parked at that venue as I encountered them while they're sharing in that pattern of conduct in that ongoing terrorism in concert with the gang leader who was responsible for all the gang violence that I remain subject to, including by the immigrant population, who are subject to deportation, and the criminal activity by the Ontario Police Department and the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Fire Department, etc., is no defense. It is literally confirmation for the criminal pattern of conduct of the gang stalking immigrants in California. So I do want to go ahead and document, and this is relevant. I took screenshots, but I'm going to go ahead and recite potential deportees license plates. License 9, Uncle David David 851. The ARCO employee, again, relevant regarding deportation, 9, Thomas Indiana Henry 520. License 3, Nancy Edward Yolanda 006. That's German, who is a potential deportee. Balbier, a potential deportee, 9, Edward Frank Henry 194. Again, Harry, gang stalking me, and also gang stalking me with the government, gang stalking me with the third parties that are at Chevron in order to target me, and as a potential deportee. Again, his license plate 7 Xavier, Indiana, Yolanda 347. Iglesia Apostolica Profetica on F Street. This is where the terrorists are crossing path, targeting me with impossible light, targeting me with the government. I'm doing so as I am remaining at 537 North Euclid Avenue. License plates include eight Robert Zebra Charlie 008. All potential deportees. License 9, Paul Mary Xavier 607. Potential deportee parked outside of the Apostolica Prophetica Iglesia. 4, Frank Sam Mary 443. Monitoring an American citizen in furtherance of murdering that American citizen, and engaging in what is an ongoing aggravated federal offenses because it's being documented. The entity acts as one. So your co-conspirator is engaging in sexual violence with you, and you're going to be subject to deportation for it. It's the government's pattern of conduct, stalking through a whole population. And that population is going to pay the penalty, which includes deportation. License 9, Robert Thomas Apple 789. Potential deportee. License 7, David 064. License 8, Zebra George 502. 8, Thomas Henry Berry 446. Potential deportee, resorting to ongoing harassment and terrorism and disregarding, I want to be clear, do not genuinely care or desire to stay in this country while they engage in more and more violence in the face of the evidence that is going to serve for them being deported. That is a clear and concise statement through your actions that you are an enemy of this country, and you intend to be an enemy of this country, and you remain an enemy that is acting with impunity with regard to threatening American citizens and threatening national security, okay? License 9, Kelly Sam Nancy 409, potential deportee. License 8, Frank George Charlie 873, potential deportee. License 9, Kelly Frank Charlie 912, in case I didn't read that one already, potential deportee. 7, Zebra Charlie Zebra 521. 9, Uncle Sam 787. 7, Nancy Victor Thomas 003. 8, Robert Henry Frank 324. 9, Henry Paul Charlie 948. You have license 7, Robert Nancy Frank 822. 8, Zebra Henry Thomas 087. This is a population of terrorists that are obsessed with violence. They are obsessed with being demons. Being demons is, as I've shown you, a threat to national security. The demons are engaged in sexual violence. The demons are engaged in stalking. The demons are engaged in conspiring murder together while they do so. And the demons are now doing so during the course of an investigation, which a terrorist population have never, with regard to gang stalking, has never engaged in. And what they're going to experience and what this country is going to learn is that when you engage in this, there will be no defense with regard to any plea of mercy and can you stay in this country and please understand and I didn't mean it and I wasn't there and I wasn't a part of it and I love this country and I would never. You're being deported. You're being deported. Okay? And the entity deserves to be deported. American citizens are being murdered by immigrants. American citizens are being hunted down, as I'm showing you, with impunity by immigrants. The entity is engaged in what is targeting with the government that targets with impunity in concert with immigrants. They're being deported, and they're still targeting now. I just want to be clear on that. This is the entity this is relevant to the ways in which federal policy is going to surround what is proven criminal monitoring by the government and the immigrant population. That immigrant population, whatever immigrant population, wherever that immigrant population is, it won't be in the United States, so they will be deported. And this is establishing precedent. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:14 p.m. I just want to document the entity engaged in ongoing infliction of harms, targeting me while I am literally at the bus stop where the government is targeting and engaging and also harassing me. This is what D. Rodriguez engaged in, who's going to prison, okay? But this is the entity, this is why they're being deported. They share in violence together. They share in targeting together. They share in what is psychopathic, self-destructive conduct together. Suicidal psychopaths need to be, and their children, their offspring as well, need to be deported out of this country sooner than later. This is P.O.C. It's 10:14 p.m.